How many people do you know that stay in painful relationships because they believe that love should be enough? It should solve all our problems. But one of the most mature things is when you realize this: you can love someone really deeply and not be compatible with them. Today, we're talking about what is compatibility, which is one of the most misunderstood concepts in relationships. Welcome to the Connection Catalyst podcast, episode number 30. I'm Karolina, the Connection Catalyst, and I'm here to help you experience deeper connection with yourself, with others, and with the world around you. So, let's start with this. Love and compatibility are absolutely not the same thing because many people assume, based on Disney movies and Hollywood and everything, that if we love someone, we'll find a way to make it work. And of course, sometimes it is actually true, but sometimes it's not, because love is about caring about someone, appreciating them, taking them as a part of you. But compatibility is about whether two people are able to build a life together that feel good for both of them. Not a win-lose scenario, but a win-win. And you can genuinely really love someone without being compatible with them, because you can still want completely different lives and have completely different needs. So imagine that one person is, for example, dreaming of traveling the world, being in different places, adventures, spontaneity, and so on. And the other one really wants to settle down, have a family, buy a house, have a routine and stability, maybe having kids. It's not like one person is right and one person is wrong. Is that they want and need completely different things, and they can love each other deeply. But if one will just subject themselves to the other person and sacrifice themselves, this person will end up unhappy and the relationship will end anyway. Because if they cannot meet each other's needs, it's just going to collapse at some point, or someone will end up super unhappy. There is a misconception where people think, oh, we are incompatible because we are different. That's not the case. That's not necessarily the case, because many healthy couples are very different. And as I spoke in the last episode about attraction, this difference creates polarity. And then we feel chemistry with someone, right? Which is great in a relationship. But the real question is, can those differences peacefully and naturally coexist together? Or do they constantly create more and more pain for these people in a relationship? So, an example could be one person whose love language, I spoke about love languages in one of the previous episodes too, is quality time, wants to spend every weekend together. But the other one is an introvert and needs significant amounts of time alone. And at first, it might seem manageable because maybe at first one of them is going to be a people pleaser and be like, okay, I'm happy if you take the weekend off, or okay, I'm happy if I spend this weekend with you. But later, then either one person feels abandoned by the one that needs space, or the one that needs space feels trapped in a relationship. And it's a recipe for disaster. And it's not like any of these needs are wrong. It's just that they are so different that they are fundamentally incompatible. And that's why I broke up with someone, or someone broke up with me, who I thought is going to be my man for life. Because suddenly he decided he wants to become a writer. And previously he was a marketer. And because he wanted to write in his own space and needed massive amounts of time for himself, and my first love language is quality time, I knew that I'm not going to be fulfilled in this relationship if I just allow myself to be with a person who needs so much time on their own. Because I would like to be with my partner almost daily for a few hours, ideally, because that's how I receive love. And I knew that if he's going to just go to the forest for 4 days a week to write his book, I'm not going to be happy. So we had to break up, and we really like went through shit because we didn't want to do it. But right now we are besties. We're actually hanging out now in Bali together because we had a really amazing breakup. But it was no one's fault that we had to break up. It was just that we had completely different needs, and we knew if we stay together, they will not gonna be met. And we need to also see that we cannot fix our partner, we cannot control them. And one of the biggest signs of incompatibility is when we feel that the relationship is like a self-improvement project, when we constantly think, if only they were more engaged or committed, if only they healed their mommy or daddy issues, if only they become more like me, or if only whatever, fill in the blank, right? Then we know that we are probably with a potential and idealized version of this person in our mind rather than with what's really truly in 3D here in front of us. That's usually a warning sign if we have these thoughts, because who wants to be with a person who just constantly sends them a signal that they are not enough as they are and they need to change to be worthy of their full love and devotion and commitment? The real compatibility doesn't really require someone to change and to become a different person. The real compatibility means I'm happy with you as you are, I love you unconditionally, and we are meeting each other's non negotiable needs and most desires in a natural way because this is who we are, not because you want me to do something. Of course, sometimes we adjust to our partner and what they want or what they need if it's not an issue for us, if we are happy to meet this need. But if we sacrifice ourselves for the other person, it's a recipe for disaster. An example could be a woman might need emotional closeness every single day, like me, but her partner values independence the most and needs so much space and maybe time to work because he values success more, right? So then if we don't accept the differences, then it's just going to be a recipe for starting to fix each other. She would say something like, oh, you need to go to therapy to stop being so avoidant and needing so much space. And he can say, oh, you need to heal your daddy issues so that you don't feel abandoned anytime I work. And they both feel criticized and unseen at some point. And then neither of them feels loved, neither of them feels fulfilled. So we shall not do that. The question that we ask ourselves to check whether we are compatible or incompatible with someone is, if this person never changed, would I genuinely be happy with them? Not their potential, not their future version, not their fantasized version of who they might become, but this person standing in front of you right now. If the answer is no, there is very important information in it for you. And many relationships actually survive on hope rather than reality. So let's ask ourselves this question, because if we can't be with the person as they are now, and we have zero control over how they are going to change and when they are going to change in their life and in which direction, then we probably shouldn't be with this person. In my course for couples that is called Unleash Your Power Couple Potential, I have the whole module about compatibility because it's one of the foundations of relationship. One of the things that helps us discover if we are actually meant to build something more than just have fling with this person. If we want to be truly compatible, it requires authenticity and self awareness. Because if we don't know ourselves, we cannot possibly find a compatible partner. Okay? And most people, when they really want to get a girl or get a guy, they enter a relationship wearing a mask, pretending someone that they are not in order to get this person to like them. And they become whatever this person wants. And they would be like, oh, yeah, I'm fine with that, or oh, I don't mind that, or oh, whatever you want. But then eventually the truth comes out, and when it does, people feel shocked because suddenly you're not the person that I thought that you are. And it's because some people never truly know themselves. And if you don't know what your needs are, what your desires are, how can you tell the other person? And how can you find the compatibility between each other if you just have no idea? So self-awareness is the foundation of compatibility. Sometimes true love means changing someone's role in our life. As I mentioned with me and my ex Ricky, we ended the romantic part of our relationship, but friendship still stayed. So we can just change the role and the context of someone in our life without cutting them completely off or without staying together and being completely unfulfilled in our life. And of course, childhood wounds also can make us choose incompatible partners, as I mentioned in the previous episode about attraction, right? Because many people are unconsciously trying to heal old wounds through new relationships. So that can make incompatibility very familiar. And familiarity often feels like love, like craving, like obsession. So someone who felt rejected growing up may repeatedly choose emotionally unavailable partners because they are still trying to be finally chosen. And this was my case in my life. That's what I did before. But a healthy relationship feels like acceptance, feels like peace. And we need to ask ourselves, do I actually want to be with this person and let them be who they are? Or do I secretly want them to be different, to be someone else? When compatibility exists, there is no pressure to change each other, or there is small pressure. There is just room for growth, but there is also acceptance for how we are and who we are in this moment. Let's understand that not every person that you feel attracted or you love is meant to be your partner. And the goal of relationships is also not to find someone perfect, is to find someone who works with your truth, who is naturally giving you what you need and what you want, someone whose values, desires, needs, and vision of life can coexist with yours. And of course, love matters, chemistry matters, connection matters, but compatibility is what determines whether those things can actually be sustained over time. And sometimes the most loving thing we can do for our partner is to stop to force them to be who we want them to be, stop the relationship and just be who we are really. And maybe change the context, like I did. Because true love does not require someone to abandon or reject themselves in order to stay connected. True love accepts and takes someone as they are right now. Let's remember that the healthiest relationships aren't built on potential, they are built on reality. I have the whole module of my course, Unleash Your Power Couple Potential. You can find the link below the YouTube and Spotify video. If you want to dive deeper in this topic, be more guided in it, and you have the whole PDF and journal and video in order to really discover whether you are compatible or incompatible with your partner. So if you want to dive deeper, make sure to get it. For now, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to comment and send it to someone who needs to hear it, or subscribe and like and follow me on social media if you like my vibe. And until the next time.